Every generation seems to point the finger at each other, but according to a new survey, kids these days are getting more rude and are more unapologetic. According to the Pew Research Center, 47% of U.S. adults recently surveyed say that the way people behave in public these days is ruder than before the COVID-19 pandemic. Researchers looked at a variety of behaviors in social settings, like taking a photo or video of someone without their permission, displaying profanity, smoking, or playing music around others, or bringing a child into a place typically for adults. So are we in a crisis of rudeness? That's what Ali Volpe, correspondent at Vox, dove into recently. Ali, it's great to have you. So based on your research here and your reporting and the experts you spoke with, what's driving this rise in rudeness in younger generations?
Right. I mean, it's almost a comfort to know that every generation thinks the one that follows it is a bit more rude. I talked to an etiquette expert who comes from a long line of etiquette experts, and for 5 generations, this question keeps popping up and popping up. But I think what we're seeing now is technology. It's everywhere. Screens are everywhere. There's always something that is wanting our attention, and we're giving those screens our attention, and so we're not really paying attention or engaging with the people around us. We might not be paying attention to how we're treating other people, and I think that's what's really driving a supposed rise in rudeness these days.
So here's something I heard recently, that this etiquette maven, what exactly is that? What qualifies them to tell us which generation is ruder than the other?
Absolutely. So Emily Post in the 1920s wrote the first edition of her book Etiquette. And as you can imagine, things were a little bit different. She came of age in the Gilded Age, and there was a lot of social rules and social norms. So a lot of it was, who women were allowed to walk on the street with, and where to put your fork and knife, and how to invite people to weddings. And from Emily, she's had a generation of family members, follow in her lead and run the Emily Post Institute. So these days, Lizzie, the expert I spoke to, doesn't really talk so much about where to put your fork and knife, but how to treat people with respect. And that's the really important thing about the term etiquette, because it can evoke that really stuffy, old-timey thinking, but really it's about how are my actions impacting other people.
Yeah, I have 2 girls in middle school. We have these conversations all the time. I feel like they're giving me the Gen Z stare right now, just in this conversation, the eye roll. So what are some of the broader consequences of Americans losing their manners?
Right. I mean, when you see something rude, it impacts your mood, it impacts your behavior. You don't want to be nice to somebody who's being rude to you, and with that in mind, researchers have actually found that rudeness is contagious. So once you witness something rude happening, it kind of ruins your day, and you're more likely to be rude to other people. So rudeness has far-reaching consequences. If we're not thinking about how other people might be impacted by the words that we say, by the actions that we're doing, this could have a really a huge ripple effect.
Rudeness is contagious. That's definitely something to watch. So what do we do to fix it? What's the medicine here to heal us?
Right. And again, what the experts have told me is to really pay attention to the behavior you're putting out into the world, especially if you have young kids, they're watching you, and to explain to them why you're doing certain things, why you cover your mouth when you sneeze, why you don't chew with your mouth open. And those are pretty small things, but it could go to bigger things about why you treat people with respect, why, especially when people are different than you, you still treat them with respect. So we have a real opportunity to model good behavior for other people. And so it really involves taking a look at how we are acting in the world. Were we short with a barista at the coffee shop? Maybe that's an opportunity to change and have a little bit more patience. Another researcher told me that the number one reason for people being rude is when they're stressed and overwhelmed. So to really take a minute when we are feeling stressed, it's not the other person's fault that maybe we're running late or that we're in traffic, and to have a little bit more grace with people.
Important reminders. Ali Volpe, it was great talking to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.